Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, today we'll be discussing Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 5, text 1. Arjuna Uvacha Sanyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogam cha shamsasi Yachreya etayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunishchitam. So this is the starting of the 5th chapter. Basically, the 3rd chapter is action in Krishna consciousness or Karma Yoga basically. 4th chapter is Gnana Yoga. And 5th chapter is performing service to Krishna or action in Krishna consciousness, equipped with knowledge of Krishna. So 3rd and 4th chapter together is 5th chapter. So Arjuna here is raising a question, his confusion. Why did he get confused? So what is he asking? Arjuna Uvacha, O Krishna, Sanyasam Karmanam, you said. You said first you give up work. Karmanam Sanyasam. Sanyasam means giving up. You asked me to give up work. But then again, Punaha, Yogam cha shamshasi. Prashamsa means praise. Shamshasi, praising. You are praising work in devotion. So, on one hand you said give up work, and the other hand you said work in devotion. So, etayoho, of these two, yat shreyaha, what is beneficial? Ekam, just tell me one. Bruhi. Sunishchitam. Yat shreya etayorekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Tell me for certain what among these two is beneficial for me. So this is his confusion. So why did he get confused? Because if you looked at the previous chapter, the last 3 verses, 41, 42, 43. In 41, Krishna used both yoga and sannyasa. Yoga sannyasta karmanam. So Arjuna thought sannyasa of work. Then again, Krishna is also asking to do yoga. Yoga sannyasta karmanam. So Arjuna is confused. So, and then the last verse, 43rd verse, Krishna said, Atishta uttishta bharata. Get up and fight. And even in 3rd chapter, Krishna has said, 17th verse, Atmaratihi Atmatruptasya manavaha Atmanyeva santushtaha tasya karyam na vidyate. There is no need for work for any self-realized man. But then again, 30th verse, Krishna said, no, you have to work. That's the purpose of the Bhagavad Gita. Mai sarvani karmani sanyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmammo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. So like that 3rd chapter also Krishna said both. 4th chapter also Krishna said both. In fact, the different yagnas Krishna mentioned, Krishna said, better than the yagnas which involve dravyamayad, shreyad dravyamayad yagna, sacrificing of material possessions, gnana yagnaha parantapa is better. Gnana yagna is better. Cultivating knowledge is better. Sarvam karma akhilam partha gnane parisamapyate. All sacrificial work culminate in knowledge. So, you see, in different places, Krishna seems to have emphasized different things. And so Prabhupada says in the purport, Arjuna appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. He inquires therefore whether he should cease work altogether or work with full knowledge. So Arjuna, of course, is a great personality. He is putting himself as an ordinary ignorant person for our enlightenment. So he's acting under the influence of the Lord's Yogamaya. So under that, he appears not to have understood that work in full knowledge is non-reactive and is therefore the same as inaction. So if we work for Krishna, it is non-reactive. It is as good as not acting. That is sannyasa in work, not sannyasa of work. Krishna repeatedly said, we should not take sannyasa of work, sannyasa in work. We are not like Mayavadi sannyasis doing mental speculation who give up work. There are two kinds of sannyasis, Ekadanda and Tridanda. Ekadanda sannyasi means the Mayavadi sannyasis who give up everything, who renounce this world, who engage only in studying Vedanta and mental speculation. And they consider, even when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Benares, he was singing and dancing the holy names of the Lord, taking masses of people, performing public Sankirtana. And being a sannyasi, they thought he also accepted sannyasa from our sampradaya. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted that Ekadanda sannyasa from their sampradaya for a particular reason, because at that time their sannyasa was prominent, and to establish his name as a sannyasi, it needed to be done as a formality. So they thought, instead of studying Vedanta, he is singing like a sentimentalist and dancing like a sentimentalist. What is this? So they were saying this is also reaction. They consider the singing and dancing also as a karmic activity, reactionary activity, activity of this material world. They don't understand that this is a transcendental activity, having no reaction. Any action done for Krishna's pleasure carries no reaction. This is called Tridandi Sannyasa. The Vaishnavas, they take Tridandi, not Ekadanda, Tridanda Sannyasa. So if you see the danda staff carried by a sannyasi, the Mayavadi sannyasis, they have only one staff. The Vaishnava sannyasis, they carry three staffs together bundled. It means karmana manasa gira. With action, with mind, with words, they determine to serve Krishna. Not give up any action and just do mental speculation. So real sannyasa is whatever we do for Krishna. So in 1976, so Prabhupada, he ordered, because of a set of events in Mayapur, Prabhupada ordered Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Drishtadyumna Prabhu, they were ordered to go to China. And so they were making plans to go to China for preaching. And at that time, China was terribly xenophobic. They were completely suspicious of foreigners, especially the white people. So they needed to go into China through some other ways. So they, through Drishtadyumna Prabhu's father's contacts, he had business. So they established themselves as, representatives of the incense business, the spiritual sky incense. So they purchased themselves some suits and started to grow hair and all of that. So they got ready, and they were in New York, and they wanted to go first to Hong Kong via Hawaii. Prabhupada was there in Hawaii. He was writing the 8th canto, the story of Gajendra. So when they went to Hawaii, all of a sudden Prabhupada said he didn't approve them going to China anymore because he considered that the conditions at that time was not favorable for preaching. There wouldn't be any possibility for preaching. And then at that time, one devotee who had taken up sannyasa, he had given it up and went away from the temple. So the temple needed the preaching needed some established people. So he said, no, you just go back and take the charge. So that was quite the opposite of what Prabhupada ordered just 2 months earlier in Mayapur, when he ordered Tamal Krishna Goswami to go to China. So, and then Prabhupada gave them instructions how you should learn from the Mayapur experience, where there were a lot of emotions, why Prabhupada ordered them to go to China and all that. Because they were doing very forcible preaching and converting people to brahmacharis and demeaning grihasthas and all of that. So, and then Prabhupada, he started to inform them, actually, I have not given any of you sannyasa. But he said why he has been giving sannyasa even though they were young. I am in a war with Maya, the material energy, and I need leaders. It is called wartime battlefield commission. Because when there is a quick war, there are no qualified leaders. Someone has to lead the charge. So basically you take every fifth man. Now you are the lieutenant of the squad. He is really a normal army man, but we make him the lieutenant for the day and he leads the charge. And then Prabhupada said, it is to be understood that you are not sufficiently equipped for this fight and most of you will go down. So, but then Prabhupada still ordered them, you have to do what is needed at that time. So you see, Prabhupada had used every possible ways, including giving sannyasa to his disciples, for spreading the Krishna consciousness movement far and wide. It is only for the purpose of preaching, not sitting idly and doing mental speculation. They were even prepared to go in suits to China and preach. Just imagine. And at another occasion, one devotee was saying he has taken sannyasa when he was only 25 years old. Prabhupada called him to his quarters. At that time, we had this huge temple in Manhattan in New York. So Prabhupada was in his quarters on the 11th floor, and he called him and he told the sannyasi, have you seen the New York women? And this was a young sannyasi and he was like confused what to answer. And he was hesitating to answer. Of course, he did see the New York woman. And am I supposed to answer yes or no? He was contemplating. And then Prabhupada continued, see, they are all so beautiful, so charming, isn't it? In this way, they are all controlling all the men in New York City. And because they are controlling all the men, all of these buildings are going up and the whole city is manifesting. And so he went on describing the whole development of New York. And then he said, it is all Vishnu Maya. So it is so educational for this young sannyasi because typically sannyasa means anti-gender, right? Other, they don't even think about women, and women were to be avoided and all of that. But see, here Prabhupada was preaching, being a perfect sannyasi, he was describing everything as bare facts. In fact, the whole world is going on with the attraction of women. And because of being motivated to enjoy sense pleasure with the partner, everybody is working hard. The economic development is flourishing. The buildings are happening. People are earning. Why? Because of that pleasure. The central point is that pleasure. And Prabhupada, he was so pure, he could discuss that as a matter of philosophy and point out that it is all Vishnu Maya. It is Krishna's illusory energy that is controlling the people, that is bewildering the people. And because he was a perfect sannyasi, he could meditate completely on the material nature, the material energy, and he could see it in relation with Krishna. So he could never be in danger of being affected by material nature because everything he was seeing in relation with Krishna. That is the real idea of sannyasa. To see and use everything in service of Krishna. Of course, he was in a Paramhamsa stage. For a beginner sannyasi, for a brahmachari, there are a lot of restrictions for our own good until we become enlightened. So there are rules and regulations the spiritual master gives. One should not step over them and act as if we are liberated. But within our own boundaries, we should still act for Krishna, not resign or renounce activities. Because acting for Krishna is sannyasa. So, in other words, by his actions, Prabhupada was showing that the real sannyasa is not to give up work, but to work for Krishna. And work with full knowledge. Not that, oh, the Mayavadi sannyasis have only have knowledge and we don't have knowledge, we just act blindly without knowledge. Like Krishna says in Krishna book during the Govardhan Leela pastime, when his father refused to tell him, my dear father, what are you doing this sacrifice for? And his father Nanda Maharaj tried to brush it as, oh, this is just some ritual and you don't have to worry about it. And Krishna told, see, all persons are engaged in fruitive activities. Some of them know what these activities are and they know the result. And some execute activities without knowing the purpose or the result. And Krishna says a person who acts with full knowledge gets the full result. And one who acts without knowledge does not get a perfect result. Therefore, please let me know the purpose of the sacrifice which you are going to perform. Is it according to Vedic injunction or is it just a popular ceremony? So, in other words, any activity we do has to be in full knowledge. Of course, we are not because of our previous qualification, we may not be able to understand everything. But to the extent we can, we should understand. So one devotee asked when he heard this. So we say fire is fire. Whether you know it or not, it will burn, isn't it? That's what we say. When you hear the holy name, it will act. But then why we are saying knowledge also is important. So there is a small story in this connection. So there was one guru who teaches his disciple how to enhance his memory power. So he says there are these special leaves from a rare tree in the nearby forest. So every day you have to go get the leaves, cleanse them with water from a nearby lake, grind it thoroughly, take the juice from it early in the morning, the first thing in the morning. And he also asks him to teach to his fellow students. So he says that they have to use the leaves only when it is thoroughly cleansed with water, and they could use water from the nearby lake. And if the leaves are not cleaned thoroughly, it might act as poison and can be dangerous. Now the student goes and tells and teaches the fellow students, and they all start to follow happily. And then after some days, the guru finds that their memory power is not improving at all. So he calls the student and asks him, "Are you taking this medicine?" And to his surprise and shock, he says, "No, they are not taking." Why? Because they found that after some days, the water in the lake had dried up because of summer. And because the leaves could not be cleansed, and they thought it would cause poisonous effect without cleansing, so they stopped taking. And the guru starts to chastise him, becoming disappointed. Because of their lack of knowledge and maturity, the purpose was to clean the leaves properly, not that they should be cleansed only with the water from the lake. The lake was used as a convenient mechanism because it happened to be nearby. They could have used water from any other source. So because they didn't understand the real knowledge and purpose behind that, they could not get the full advantage. So if you know the full knowledge behind a thing, you can understand its purpose and how to adjust based on time, place, and circumstance. Also, another example, like if, for example, you are worshipping a deity at home deity is there. Daily worship you are doing, offering prasadam, incense, and all that. Let's say you are not well one day. So what can you do? You can't get up, take bath, and worship and offer and all that. So you will sit idle without doing anything. But if you knew the knowledge behind it, then you can get the full result. So the foremost principle is Smartavyam Satatam Vishnu Vismartavyam na Jatuchit. The idea of doing all of this is to remember Krishna. Always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna. So whether you are in a position to physically do worship or not, you can always remember Krishna and chant his names. You can always worship Krishna with your mind. You can offer everything in your mind. Nobody is stopping you. Krishna accepts even in your mind. You can offer in your mind. Of course, it's not to make it, we should not make it like a daily habit to offer in the mind and engage in Maya other time. So the point is to use our time in serving Krishna, whether physically or mentally. When you're not able to do because of sickness or whatever, travel, you can offer in the mind. So if you have knowledge about this, then your activities, they become even more meaningful. So even the chanting, if you have knowledge about the offenses, your chanting will go to the next level. Sometimes I see devotees chanting during the class. They'll be hearing the class, sitting in the class, but they'll be having bead bag and they'll be chanting. It's not the right way of chanting because you are disrespecting the holy name. When the holy name is chanted, you should exclusively take shelter of the holy name, not do anything else. Just because you've taken the vow, oh, I need to complete this. Or sometimes people take this extraordinary vow, I'll chant more rounds, 20 rounds, 25 rounds, 30 rounds, whatever. And they go on chanting while talking, while hearing the class, while doing anything and everything. So that's not the right way of doing things. So the point is, when you have knowledge about things, when you do that in proper knowledge, that will yield even more better result. So that is why this third chapter and fourth chapter is knowledge, third chapter is action. So fifth chapter is the combination of both. You're acting in knowledge, in proper knowledge. The Mayavadis, they only do knowledge without Krishna. And the devotee has to do both. Cultivate knowledge given by the spiritual master, hear from the spiritual master, read the books given by the spiritual master, and engage in Krishna's service. Bhaktya Shruta Gruhitaya Tachraddhadhana Munayo Gnana Vairagya Yuktaya Pashyanti Atmani Chatmanam Bhaktya Shruta Gruhitaya. Bhakti, our bhakti is based on solid knowledge from Shruti, not ignorant. Shruti Smruti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidhimbina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpataya Eva Kalpate. Our bhakti, if it is not based on proper knowledge from Shruti and Smruti and Puranas and Pancharatra Vidhim, it becomes Utpata, disturbance. Like some time ago, I got a WhatsApp message, lot of days ago. So it contained the meaning of Gayatri Mantra, full of mental speculation, incorrect information. Oh, Tat Savitur Varenyam, Tat means Ganesha, Sa means Narasimha, V means Vishnu, Tu means Ishvara, Va means Krishna. And then this mantra can be used to meditate on any favorite demigod you want. You do that 108 times in the morning and evening for 40 days. All your desires will be satisfied. So this is called mental speculation. That's why we need the knowledge from a bona fide spiritual master. Otherwise, you will take knowledge from WhatsApp, Google, or whatever AI. So one should be very careful. One should get proper knowledge. Krishna is giving proper knowledge. Take it from the medium of a bona fide spiritual master and engage in devotion. That is a perfection. Then you are a real sannyasi. We'll stop here. Anyone has any questions or comments? Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila